The vast majority of people rush themselves in the morning. If you think about what most people do when they wake up, a lot of the time they'll roll out of bed, they won't even make the bed. They'll go and they'll have a warm shower, then they'll put their work clothes on, they'll brush their teeth. Then they'll go into the living room, they'll make a coffee, and then they'll just leave and go to work. One of the main problems with this is actually part of the reason why so many modern day people experience a high amount of stress and a high amount of anxiety. The main reason is because the morning is actually the most important part of the day. I'm sure you've heard that saying before. The morning is the part of the day where you're just woken up, you're in the most optimized state of mind, and this is the time where you should be setting together a string of tasks, which is your morning routine, so that you can set yourself up to perform as best you possibly can and to be as effective as possible for the rest of the day. Because most people ignore this, they miss out on the huge benefits that come from having a set of non-negotiables and from having a very effective and efficient morning routine. One of the biggest benefits from the morning routine is the boost in dopamine, the boost in your mood, and the boost in serotonin levels that you're going to get from having this efficient and effective morning routine. And the reason for this is because a lot of the tasks, which I'm going to outline for you in a second, a lot of them are specifically designed to optimize your mind and to optimize your brain and your body, so that when you work throughout the day and when you do the tasks that you're working on, maybe it's studying, maybe it's building a business or entrepreneurship, it's going to actually set your mind in the most optimized state it can be in, so that therefore when you're doing these tasks, you're actually going to perform better. You're actually going to be in a state where you can achieve what you want to efficiently and effectively. Your brain is going to be optimized, you're going to think clearer and more effectively as well, and you're going to be in a state where you can get things done efficiently and effectively. So in addition to boosting your dopamine and your serotonin, what it's also going to do is it's going to massively improve your discipline, having a good morning routine, and it's also going to improve your productivity throughout the day. These are for the same reasons like I said before. Having this morning routine is so important because when you start off the day, you want to make sure you're starting off the day right. You want to make sure you're starting off the day in a way that's going to set yourself up for success throughout the rest of the day. And the best way to do this is by following the step-by-step morning routine, which I'm going to outline for you in a second below, which are specifically designed to help get my mind and my body in an optimized state so I can perform throughout the rest of the day. Now, it's important to note that a lot of people think that morning routines are useless. You've seen people like Alex Hormozi say this, and they've said that it's more effective to actually start off the day and just wake up, roll out of bed, and just work straight away, because you're not going to make any money from making your bed or anything. However, I do somewhat disagree with this. And this is just because you can wake up, you can get out of bed straight away, and you can start working. However, when you do that, your mind's not going to be optimized. It's not going to be in an efficient state. And so when you do work, it's going to be less effective. Studies have also proven that humans can only really work for 3 to 4 hours a day. And a lot of the greats in history, like Albert Einstein, Mozart, etc., it's actually been proven that a lot of them have only really worked for 3 to 4 hours a day total. So therefore, if you're avoiding an essential part of the morning where you could be doing a set of tasks which are going to improve you for the rest of the day, so that when you do this block of 3 to 4 hours of work, you're going to be more effective and more efficient, it's actually kind of silly to avoid this and to not do this morning routine. Now, if you're someone who is an Uber driver or you work a job and the amount of money you make is directly tied into the hours that you work, then that's somewhat different. However, if you're studying or you're looking at building a business or entrepreneurship, this isn't actually the case, because you can only actually put in a certain amount of deep work and that certain amount is 3 to 4 hours per day. After this, your brain starts to deteriorate, you can't focus, your brain can't process new information as well, and you kind of just go off the boil a little bit when you get past this extent. So if you're looking at becoming successful and you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to build a business, it's actually really important that you kind of have an effective morning routine set in place so that you're set up for the rest of the day, so that when you do sit down and you do the important tasks which are going to push your life in the direction you want it to go in, your mind's operating efficiently, your dopamine is sky high, you're going to be more disciplined, you're going to be more productive, you're going to be more zoned in and focused in, and you're going to be in a flow state. And that's really going to help you throughout this task and throughout the rest of the day. So the first thing I do for my morning routine, and arguably the most important part, is I prioritize sunlight in the morning. Now this is so effective because when you wake up, your brain is still producing melatonin, which is a sleep hormone in your brain. Your brain doesn't know you're actually awake. And the way to combat this is to just go outside and make a beeline for sunlight straight away. If you think about back in the day, before modernity and before the modern day, what humans used to do, they would just wake up and they would just go outside and they would literally spend the whole day out in the sun. So the reason why this is so important to get outside early is because getting this sunlight, getting these UV rays into your eyes is going to tell your brain that you're awake, and it's going to make you more alert. It's going to release some of these melatonin receptors from your brain currently, and it's going to put you in a more optimized state where you're alert and you're more focused. In addition to this, it's also going to boost your dopamine, which has a huge return on investment. Dopamine is a chemical in your brain which is responsible for pleasure. It's a reward system, and it's also responsible for motivation. So if you can get sunlight in the morning, it's going to boost your baseline dopamine levels, so that throughout the day you're elevating at a more optimized, higher state than you were before, where you're more motivated, you get more pleasure from doing the hard tasks which are difficult right now. And that's really going to help you throughout the day. It's going to make you more effective in your work tasks, and it's going to put you in a happier, better state of mind throughout the day. In addition to this, it's also going to help regulate your circadian rhythm. So a lot of people don't know this, but getting sunlight in the morning is extremely important, because once you've got that sunlight in and you've told your brain that you're alert and you're awake, what it's also going to do is it's going to start producing melatonin in about 12 to 16 hours time when you actually want to go to bed at night. So this is really important because it's going to help you feel awake and alert in the morning and tired and sleepy at nighttime. So that when you want to be awake, when you want to be alert, you're going to be when you're doing work tasks, when you've just started the day. And when it's at the end of the day, on the other side of the spectrum, when you want to relax, where you want to kind of like wind down and get ready for bed, your brain's already going to start producing melatonin. The next thing on my list after this is having a cold shower. This is actually probably, I wouldn't say this is essential, however, it is still important. Having a cold shower is still a tough, uncomfortable activity, which is important because when you start the day, you don't want to just be doing pleasurable, enjoyable activities back to back to back. Because if you do this, then your brain is just going to keep seeking these pleasurable activities. And then doing a hard task like working on your business or studying, it's going to seem so far-fetched by comparison because your brain is used to having these activities like having a cold shower, maybe having a coffee in the morning. They're just easy hits of dopamine, easy wins that you get in the morning where you've got feelings of pleasure when you haven't actually put in any work or anything yet. So it's really important to make sure that if you can, you do have a cold shower. This is going to regulate your dopamine again. It's going to have the same impact as sunlight. And as this has an impact on your dopamine for about 6 hours. So your baseline dopamine level is going to be higher. You're going to find more enjoyable work from the hard tasks that you do. It's going to be more enjoyable for about 6 to 8 hours, studies have proven, throughout the day. And also it's an uncomfortable task which is going to get your mind used to it, so that doing a daunting task such as working on your business or whatnot is actually going to be a lot easier further down the line. The next thing I'll do after this is I'll just grab a notepad and a pen and I'll just start gratitude journaling. This is another task where it's just going to put your mind in a more grateful, happy state. If you're waking up and you're thinking about things that could go wrong, things that you don't have and whatnot, and you're not actually grateful for what you do have, it's just going to have a negative impact on you and it's going to create a negative feedback loop. However, if you actually just sit down for a second and you actually think about the things you do have and the things that you are most grateful for, this is going to have a huge impact on your mind because it's going to put you in a more happy state. You're going to actually become more grateful for the things that you do have, which you sometimes take for granted. And this is going to create a positive feedback loop in your mind. It's important to write down a full sentence. I normally say, I'm grateful for X, and then write because. And this could be anything. You could say that you're grateful that the sun's out today, you're grateful for your friends and family, you're grateful that you have a roof over your head, or just anything like that. That's going to put your mind in a positive state, and it's going to help you start off the day well. The next thing after this is something called meditation. A lot of you would have heard of this, but it's actually really not commonly practiced at all. The reason why getting meditation done in the morning is so effective is because of something called mindfulness. Now, the opposite of mindfulness is mind wandering. It's when thoughts keep on coming into your brain left and right when you're trying to focus, and they keep on distracting you. You keep on playing out scenarios in your mind, and you don't actually sit down and actually focus in on what you're doing currently right now. So if you have all these thoughts coming in, it's going to affect your focus, it's going to give you anxiety, it's going to probably improve your stress levels as well, and it's not really what you want to happen throughout the day. And the way that you can regulate your thought process to make yourself more efficient, more optimized, so that when you're working, you're only zoned in on the task you're doing right now, and you don't have all these random thoughts in your head, it's by practicing meditation. So the process of meditation is just focusing on your breath for a period of time. Maybe if you're just starting off, do 30 seconds, or you could do 1 to 3 minutes, and then if you're advanced, you can do 3 to 10 minutes. But during this time, all I want you to do is just close your eyes, start breathing, and just focus in on your breath. So if you're breathing in through your nostrils, just think about the breath going in through your nostrils, then out through your nostrils. Or if you've got a hand on your tummy, you can focus on the breath as you breathe in, and then as the release as you breathe out. So the importance of this is thoughts are going to come into your brain, but when this happens, you need to be aware of them, and you need to kind of push them aside, and then think back to what you're currently doing, and to think back and focus on your breath work again. And what this is going to do is it's going to build up repetition, and it's going to train your mind to focus in on exactly what you're doing right now. So therefore, when thoughts do come in during the day, maybe you get a new thought about a scenario that's going to happen that you're worried about or whatnot, you can just push that back out of your mind, you can zone back in, and you can focus in on exactly what you're doing right now. The last task which I do after meditation is generally I will just do some jumping jacks or do some burpees. It's just good to just do a little bit of exercise. You want to break a small sweat in the morning. You don't want to overdo it. I wouldn't do something like push-ups or anything, or sit-ups, where it's going to have an intense kind of level of exercise. I would just do something that's going to break a sweat. It's going to get your mind going, and it's going to get your heart rate pumping and whatnot. And it's just going to help you put yourself into that state where your mind is going to be operating more efficiently. Now the reason for this is because if you get your blood rate up and your heart's pumping a little bit and you've exercised, your mind and your body connection is going to activate, and you're just going to be a little bit better for the rest of the day and for your next task in the morning. So that's pretty much my morning routine. That's everything I normally do in the morning. After that, I might just do something like I might just sit down and I might just start reading a book, which is a positive book, which I read in the morning. And I might have a notepad and I might write down some notes as well. And this is just a good way to start off your day. Again, it's a hard task, it's a difficult task to do, to sit down, to focus in and to read. And having this task, getting these hard tasks done in a string and an array of hard tasks in the morning where you're doing them back to back, all these difficult habits. It's really just going to build up your discipline, and it's going to build up your productivity. It's going to help you zone in. It's going to help you focus. And like I said, it's going to increase your dopamine, and it's going to put you in a very optimized state of mind, so that when, after this morning routine, you got to do your next task, which I highly recommend as being the most important task for you that day, which can either be studying, it could be past papers, or it could be building a business or anything like that. What's going to happen is you're just going to be able to operate, to sit down, to think clearly, and for your mind to be functioning in a better condition than if you just sat down and you started working straight away. So normally my morning routine, when I do this, it lasts for about an hour. You can do it for about an hour and a half or whatnot if you have the time. I've got the time to do so right now, so it makes sense for me to kind of do this for as long as possible. But if you don't have the time, you could just stick to a half an hour session, and then just prioritize the first couple of tasks. So you're doing meditation, gratitude journaling, you're getting sunlight in. And then if you have more time, maybe if you've got school and you're doing this on the weekend, that's when you can start implementing another half an hour where you're going to start reading a book in the morning, where you start doing jumping jacks afterward, or do burpees, etc. Or maybe you meditate for a longer period of time. Now, the most important thing to mention after this is once you've completed this morning routine, don't waste it. So make sure that the next task afterward is the most important task for the day. This should be your task which is difficult, which maybe you've been pushing off, which you're procrastinating on, which you really need to get done. This should be effectively the next task right after the morning routine. And the reason for this is because you're habit stacking. Because you've just put together a set of daily non-negotiables and you've hit every single one. And now your mind's optimized, so you've done all these hard tasks which you don't want to really do, but it's set your dopamine levels high, and it's put you in a state where if you follow this up with doing the most important task for the day, you're going to be more disciplined, you're going to have more motivation to do so because your dopamine's higher. You're going to be able to be more productive because you're going to be in a state of mindfulness, you're not going to be mind wandering at all, and you're going to be able to sit down, be in your flow state, and be as productive as possible. So that's really what I normally do in the morning every day, and I felt that this has really had a huge positive impact on my life. It's just getting these hard tasks done in the morning, setting them out and doing them. I normally tick them off. As you can see, maybe you can see behind me on my wall, I have a habit tracker where I tick them off as I go. Again, this is just creating a positive feedback loop, and it's creating more motivation to keep going throughout the day. So that's what I do in the morning. This is the morning routine which has changed my life personally, and I think it can really help you change yours if you start implementing these tasks into your daily routine.